Hello and welcome to Caretaker's Corner, where we discuss everything that has to do with taking care of our elderly and disabled parents, our disabled spouses, and our adult disabled children. My name is CJ and I am your host for this show. So today we are discussing taking back your medical care and the medical care of your family members. If there's one thing that people constantly are explaining to me, they're telling me, they're complaining about, it is medical care and the amount of medical care we get these days. Anymore, when you go to the doctor, you get a few minutes and then they're running out the door. With one of Barb's neurosurgeons, I recorded the visit. It lasted less than 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and he was running out the door. And that's with me stopping him and asking him some questions. So I'm going to give you a few suggestions on how to take back your medical care and the medical care of your family members. And if you have any suggestions, then please let me know what your suggestions are. Tell me what you're doing to help take back your medical care. So the first one I want to point out is you have time. When you go in, you're paying. Either you're paying or your insurance is paying for that time with that doctor. So they have to be able to sit there and talk to you and explain things to you, ask questions. I always suggest you go in with a list of questions. Everybody has a cell phone on them. Everybody has a notes app of some sort with that. Take it in. Write down your questions as you get them. Because I know if I don't write down stuff when I have the question, then I'm going to be in trouble because I'll forget it later. But write it down the moment you have it. Type it into your cell phone. And that way when you go in there, you can tell them, look, I have a series of questions I need to ask. We've never had a problem, with the exception of the one neurosurgeon, with people and with the doctors just sitting there answering our questions. They like to hurry up and get as many people in as they can, but you have the right to make them stop and answer your questions. So that's very important to remember. Take that time, and if you don't understand what their explanation is, ask them to break it down. Tell them you're not understanding. Please help me out. For lack of a better term, explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old. That way you can make better decisions concerning your health or the health of your loved ones. And that's a very important thing. If your loved one is in the hospital and you're not able to be there, another thing is being able to, you talk to those nurses, you find out what's taking place during the day. Sometimes you can't be there when the doctors are there, and you depend upon those nurses to tell you, what did the doctor say? Because our family members can't always tell us what the doctor said. A case in point, my mother-in-law, God rest her soul, was diagnosed with small cell lung cancer, and she was in the hospital receiving chemo. She was paraplegic, so for everybody involved, it was just easier for her to be admitted, get the chemotherapy, and then be sent back to the nursing home. Well, while she was there one day, a doctor came in to talk to her, and when I got there, she was like, she said, some doctor came in and told me I couldn't use the bathroom, or I was losing my ability to use the bathroom, and I told him to get out. Come to find out, it was a nephrologist. It was a kidney doctor, and they'd come in to say that her kidneys were shutting down because of the chemotherapy. And the way she worded it, none of us had a clue what she was talking about, including the nurses. At the time, I didn't have enough experience behind me to go, okay, well, let's go ask the nurses what doctors came in to visit. And the problem is sometimes they don't know. When my stepfather was in the hospital just a few weeks ago, at one time there were 4 different doctors in the room, and they weren't communicating with each other. They were pretty surprised the other ones were even there and didn't have a clue what they were doing there. And that was extremely terrifying, as 2 of them were there and they were the same kind of doctor. I believe also, they were both nephrologists. And they had done totally different tests, come up with totally different diagnoses, and totally different treatment plans. So, being that we were there, and I was there, we were able to make them talk to one another and figure out what was going on. And that is not always the case. So it's very important to also make sure your doctors communicate with one another. Make sure you have a correct list of all your doctors, their contact information, their fax, their email, phone numbers, and what they are for, if you have a lot of specialists. Like Barb doesn't have a lot of specialists. She has a neurosurgeon, 2 neurosurgeons that work together, they're partners, and a neurologist, and her regular doctor, and that's it. And so keeping them talking to one another is not difficult. Also, we're very good about recording the sessions. So I can't always make it to Barbara's doctor's appointments. So we've cleared it with all of her doctors that she can record them, the office visits, so that I can listen to them later. And that way I have an accurate idea of what happened. And also I can then explain it to Barbara, because sometimes she gets some things confused, she doesn't understand, or she may miss what was said. I mean, she has some hearing issues, so sometimes she can't hear what's being said. And by having those recorded, I'm able to go back through and help her to understand it. Plus, I also have an understanding of what's going on at that point. Because of some of the medication she's on, she has some issues with, they have to continually, every 3 months, check her kidney and liver functions. And then also, she's got thyroid issues, so that has to be checked every 3 months. So by being able to record all this, I'm able to know exactly what's going on, and I don't have to be there. But I suggest everyone do that, because that way you have you've got that record also. So you go to your other doctor, so you're at your nephrologist, you go to your primary, you can play that for your primary so they know exactly what's going on. And I find that's a great way of keeping communication open between your doctors and yourself. And it also gives you the ability to have that right there and be able to look up anything you might need to look up. Also, I'm going to go with the medical community on this. My Charts is an amazing thing. I suggest that if you have it available to you, get a My Charts account, and then you can hook all of your accounts together. So I've got accounts with different hospitals because of a medical condition, and I have it hooked so that I can see from all the different hospitals what's going on. Barb's account is also attached to mine, so if she gets a message or something, I can look it up. So use technology to help you take your back control of your medical care, because this is your life you're dealing with. So use every advantage you can. I also suggest, especially for caretakers, keep a caretaking journal. Now, this is something that just popped in to my field about a month ago, I guess it was, and I think it's a great idea, especially if you're dealing with somebody who has a lot of medical issues. That way you can go, and I suggest if they have a lot of medical issues, keep a daily journal, because something that you might not realize is a big deal, like say they have a mood change, or they have a slight limp that they didn't previously have, or a small sore on the bottom of their foot. These could all end up being huge issues. The sore on the bottom of the foot, if they're a diabetic, can become a huge issue quick. Emotional and mental issues could be a sign of, and anger issues could be a sign of, especially in older individuals, urinary tract infections or an infection of any kind. So by keeping a caretaker's journal, you can go back and say, well, this is when they started showing these symptoms, or this is when they started acting out. And that can help your medical professionals with diagnosing what's going on. So I think that's actually a great idea. And it's also a way for you as a caretaker to get your emotions out. So, and to keep things nice and organized. And the last thing I have for right now is, well, it's actually going to be 2 more items. One is your medicine, or the medicine of your loved ones. Anytime you get new medicine, be sure and take it up with your pharmacist, because for instance, on why I'm very particular about this. When my grandmother passed away, we discovered that she had been taking too much blood pressure medicine. It turns out that several different doctors had been seeing her and given her blood pressure medicine, and she was on like 3 different types. And we're very confused because upon talking to a doctor, you're not supposed to be on that much blood pressure medicine. So I always suggest talking with your pharmacist and reviewing your medicines. And if you need to, I mean, I don't know about where your location, but we've got a pretty good pharmacist here, and we're able to go through the list with them and have them review what's going on. They're pretty good about telling us anytime there's a new medicine, hey, this may interact with this, which helps because sometimes they can give you a new medicine and it can interact with other medicines. Also, like for me, I have a really bad digestive condition, and it turns out that something as simple as ibuprofen kept putting me in the hospital, and the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on, and eventually I was able to figure it out because of pharmacist help over that. So be sure and talk to your pharmacist, let them know. And if you're having unusual symptoms that could be medicine related, ask your pharmacist. They know about the side effects. I mean, that's literally what their jobs are. Pharmacists are doctors. They have medical degrees. So remember, they come in very handy. Also, you have access to your medical records. And this is where I'll end on this. You have the right to a hard copy of your medical records. Like I said, back to Norton's My Chart, or I'm sorry, not Norton's, but My Chart. It's a beautiful thing that really helps you be able to keep up with what's going on. But I also have situations at hospitals that aren't on My Chart. So I have gone to those in the past and said, look, I need a physical copy of all my records and CDs of all the tests that were run. Like MRIs and CAT scans. Well, for me, it's usually CAT scans. I can't do an MRI. But so you can keep that on file. I've mentioned a burn bag before, a bag that, in the case of a fire in your home, protects everything on the inside. That is a great place to get one. I've got a duffel bag I just got to put all my dad's stuff in because I don't know how long I have to keep that stuff. So that is a very important thing to remember. This is just a few items I've come up with on how to take your medical care back. It is up to us because, I'll be honest, sometimes it feels as if the medical community is failing us. It is a money. You gotta remember, they're a business. They're in it for the money. I'm not saying there's some of them out there that aren't in it for the good feelings they get for helping people, but it's still a business at the end of the day, and they treat it as one. You are a number to them with a little $sign in front of it. So remember to take these steps and help make them give you the time you deserve, the time you're paying for. Understand your medical. And if you don't understand it, tell them you want a second opinion. Get that second opinion. You're allowed a second opinion. All right? And be sure and fight with the insurance companies, because that's what you're going to end up doing. But I hope you found this video enjoyable. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share with others. If you have any ideas that I didn't go over and that you think are great ideas that have really helped you out, put it in the comment section. Let us all know so that we can help improve everybody's medical care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.